All right, so thanks so much again for joining us. Tonight we're going to be talking about Girl Scout Destinations, and that is GSUSA's independent travel for cadets and over. So flip to the next page. And in our agenda, so we're going to be talking about the Girl Scout travel progression, just to give you a little bit of background on the progression that GSUSA has planned and what are destinations, all about them, how you can learn more about them, how to apply, and sort of like what are next steps. So the travel progression chart is created by GSUSA as a Girl Scout way to move up from just field trips that you're taking as a troop when you're a Daisy and Brownie, all the way up to the top of the travel progression is to travel independently as a Girl Scout. And the Girl Scout Destinations is one way to do that. So we know why Girl Scouts love travel. So they love to travel from field trips, as I was saying, to global adventures they can take as teenagers. And really, like through travel, Girl Scouts gain confidence and they have new experiences. They meet different challenges with sometimes, especially right now, travel seems to get interrupted or things, expands their knowledge of themselves and the world around them really, and how they can really be a global citizen. And of course, travel's a lot of fun. So it's really great. And we know that I have heard so many stories actually of girls coming back from a trip with their troop or independently and just seeing the world around them, either with their troop or with other Girl Scouts, makes them just feel that warm-hearted feeling of, wow, I've done this and I've seen other places and I've got a connection with my troop that's different than just troop meetings, or I've got a connection with Girl Scouts in general that's outside of their troop. They know that they're part of a bigger organization. So the troop travel progression, as I was saying, it starts with field trips and it ends with independent international. So field trips, then day trips, overnight trips are basically within our state. Short trips are up to 3 nights. And also in the state, extended trips is categorized by GSUSA as going anywhere outside of the state. So if you're going to Savannah to see the founders home, or to California or New York City or something like that, that would be an extended trip. And then if you're traveling with your troop, it would be an international trip. And then there's independent trips, which we're talking about today, which is destinations. So this is a beautiful chart that GSUSA created so you can troops can visualize the progression. So of course, troops are going to have some situations where some girls are very well traveled within the troop and some have never traveled before. So it's sort of, you just got to look at this chart and blend and give girls experience if they need to catch up a little bit on what it means to travel to a different destination and all that. You need to go through that with the girls. So this chart is a very convenient way of just figuring out what girls are interested in and where they fall within this category, and eventually how they're ready for individual travel. So what are destinations? So as GSUSA likes to say, and I agree, they are the ultimate Girl Scout travel adventure. So it's independent travel with other Girl Scouts to some amazing places. So Girl Scout Destinations, they're programs for individual Girl Scouts, as I'd mentioned, the cadet, senior, and ambassador level. And there's different trips every year. So there's something amazing for everyone to experience, both here in the United States and abroad. So trips typically last about 4 to 5 days. Some take about 2 weeks, and most of them take place during the summer, but there are some winter fun ones. And that can be enjoyed over the holiday break or things like that. So individual girls apply for destinations from across the USA. So girls are going to make friends from all over the country as they travel with Girl Scouts from other states and even Girl Scouts from overseas, because they may meet up with other girls that are at one of our 5 world centers If they do that as one of the destination trips, then there are going to be other girls there from around the world. So destinations are for girls who are ready to take travel to the next level and, to travel the world and meet new friends. So this is a little quote from Alex. So Alex traveled to Iceland, where she learned valuable skills in entrepreneurship and time management to be able to attend the destination. So Alex said, as you can read here, that participating in destinations taught her to be independent and work hard for something she wanted. And this, Alex sold a lot of cookies, which I can understand, to pay for a destination so that she could travel in the summer, and need to make a timeline that the application needed to be submitted. So she learned all those pieces as an individual girl traveling, how to make sure that she managed it so she got things in on time. So, and more about our destinations. So the average number of girls per trip is about 14 girls, and it ranges from some trips could have 7 to 8 girls, and some trips could have 30 or more. So that average is an average. And as you can see the numbers here, there's 25 to 35 trips each year. 50% are domestic, 50% are international. And on average for the entire council, there's 500 to 600 Girl Scouts that are traveling on these destination trips. Yeah, so that's sort of just some data to give you a little bit of information, and they do change every year. So it says 50% domestic, 50% international. That data is from GSUSA, but where are those trips in the US or internationally? That changes the way they get submitted. Councils will plan a trip, and they will submit it as a quote unquote destinations trip for GSUSA to advertise and get the girls to go on these trips. And so it's kind of up to the council to decide what kind of trip they'd like to do for the councils that do that kind of thing with their members. So again, domestic and international, but there also is quite a really nice range of outdoor adventures, STEM adventures, life skills, careers. There's a civics one out in Maine that sounds wonderful. And kayaking and city touring, and it's just a really fabulous thing even to browse through. And even if you say, oh, not this year, you get an idea of what is out there and the kinds of trips and what Girl Scouts will learn and experience on their journey. So this is Caroline, and Caroline she went to 3 destinations. First, she did a domestic one to Massachusetts, and then she went to Germany, and finally she went to Mexico. So she said that she noticed that traveling with Girl Scouts is different from traveling with her family or her school, and because she feels more adventurous, and she's more in the lead when she's not in the situation of with her school, with her teachers, or with her family. And I can understand that. I have traveled with my Girl Scout troop, and I can see that I do give them more opportunities on purpose to make sure that they are learning some skills like how to navigate through the city, or how much do we need to spend on our meals, so that they're really a part of it. But when I travel with my family, I am more just sort of organized. We're going here, we're going here, we're doing that. This is what we're doing today. And I don't default to that, making it more girl-led in my family, but I do it as a troop leader. So, so destinations are organized, or hosted in 3 different ways. So as I was saying, like a Girl Scout Council might host a destination. For example, they might host a program for girls from across the USA at one of our camps. Or sometimes a Girl Scout Council wants to host a program overseas and to partner with a tour provider to travel internationally. So that example of that would be like Girl Scouts of Colorado partnering with EF Tours to do a tour over in Europe, but it's actually through destinations using EF Tours. So, and finally, Girl Scouts of the USA has a relationship with a few of the tour providers too. So sometimes they will, GSUSA will plan a destination. So, but GSUSA doesn't organize and run the destinations. They just organize and run the application process and things like that. So in all the cases, destinations host, they have a host that has experience chaperoning and preparing the girls before they travel and to guide the girls through their travel adventure. They've taken trainings, and with the prep meetings and things, they make sure that everybody's prepared before they leave with anything that, you know, culturally that they need to know about. Food options, there might be a dress code in that country, a different language. The Girl Scouts will go through any kind of preparation for that with the destination host. So safety regulations, there's a lot of things to just go through to make sure when you're traveling with a Girl Scout group that you can minimize any problems that might arise. So who can apply? So the cadet seniors and ambassadors, they must be a registered Girl Scout, but you can, if they are not a Girl Scout, you can just register as a Girl Scout and do destinations. I, in fact, have a friend whose daughter did just that. She was very busy with other things, didn't have time to do troop meetings, but she really, really loved the destination trips. And she went to India and she went canoeing in the boundary waters, and she loved it, and that was her part of being a Girl Scout. So this is Maya, and Maya traveled on an outdoor adventure to Iceland. So Maya was pretty hesitant to travel without her troop or any of her friends, but she took the plunge, and she ended up having a life-changing adventure. She hiked glaciers and she snorkeled and went to the Continental Divide, and it says here snorkeling the Continental Divide, so I'm not sure where she did that, but anyhow, another just sort of example of a Girl Scout traveling with a destinations trip. So how to learn more. So let's look at how you can learn more about specific destinations that are going to be available next year, and some trips that are, you know, already getting started. So this is the destination website. So if you look at, like, if you can't click on this because it's in presentation mode, but if you go to the GSUSA website and you just type in a search bar destinations, you will get there. I find the title a little confusing because destinations is a place to me, not a list of trips. So don't get confused by that. And if you scroll down the page, you will see a whole lot of information about all the trips that are out there. So you can use filters that will look for certain categories and requirements. So for example, if you have a rising ninth grader for next summer, you can click on ninth grade to see all the trips that are available for her. And more trips become available the older Girl Scouts get. So you can filter for trips this year or the following year. You can click on domestic to see just the trips in the USA, or international and get the trips that are going to be outside of the USA. And finally, you can click on your interest, like if you want outdoors or STEM or civics, as I was saying, the one up in Maine. So they have all these categories that you click on to narrow down to see what trip might be of interest to the Girl Scout. So each posting has photos, a general description and details about the requirements, the price, etc. But be sure to have yourself and your Girl Scout read the full description. So you need to make sure that you're eligible based on your age and experience, then look at the activities to make sure it's the kind of trip that's really what is desired. And just to read the rest of the details, including about the price, and all those things, just to make sure that you're sort of, you know, you want to go on that trip, but you need to know a little bit more of the details, and they will be there after like when you click on that destination. So how much do they cost? Well, there's a wide range. So some trips will be $800, but others can be more than $6,000. Those $6,000 trips are extended trips down to the South Pacific or Africa or things like that, where you can imagine there's just going to be a higher expense for air travel, and the length of the trip is going to be just incurring more accommodation costs, food costs, excursion costs, things like that. So again, make sure that you read the descriptions in detail and compare programs if you'd like. So one may be more expensive and longer than another. You might say, you know what, I don't need to go all that time. Maybe I'll go for a shorter one and it'll be less expensive. Some trips also might have decreased program fees to thank, like all thanks to our funding that we get. So there are people who donate to a fund at GSUSA, and that funding goes directly to, if there's a trip that goes to one of our world centers through destinations, that money has brought down the price of that trip. So it's kind of nice to have that scholarship there that's automatically filtered into the event cost. And you'll see a little note above the cost and description saying that there was a grant was put in part of this cost for this trip, and that's why it's been lowered. Excuse me. So money earning guidelines. So GSEO has recently put out a new document for troops to go through for money earning guidelines. And it's not exactly clear on if a Girl Scout wants to raise money to go on her independent trip, how to do that, because the troop money is shared money. And so if no Girl Scouts in the trip, except for that one Girl Scout, want to travel, she's not technically supposed to be taking money from the troop. So there needs to be other ways for her to earn money if she would like to be able to go on this trip and partake in paying for it. So suggestions are that it could be that she does some babysitting or lawn cutting or anything that a neighbor might need. But when she does those things, to say she is doing that to raise money for her trip. And that's like personal money raised as a Girl Scout for that trip. And I am working on more clarification on that because it seems very fuzzy about how can girls use troop money to travel on an independent trip.
Hey,
So
Ken,
another,
excuse me, maybe you're
Jean,
gonna
did you
cover
have
this.
something to say?
Yeah, well, maybe you're gonna cover this. I believe that cookie credits can be used for destinations.
Right. Yeah, so cookie credits, and we also have some scholarships too. But yes, so the cookie program, has an entrepreneurial style to do that, where you get cookie credits. You can also, raking leaves, cooking classes. There's lots of sort of ideas for girls to help raise money on their own in addition to the credits that they earn through the fall sales and cookie sales. So sometimes, like is mentioned here, it would be neat if our global action team that we have could help organize a fundraising event for the girls that are going on a destination and sort of figure that out. So if we have a bunch of girls that say, hey, I need to figure out how to earn some money for my troop, we have a lot of people who can brainstorm and think of ideas and help them with that kind of project. So how to apply? So the application is very important. So completing the application helps Girl Scouts, they really helps them think about their skills and experience that they already have, and what they want to get out of the destination experience. So the application, it's going to be reviewed by the destination host and helps the host determine if they're going to be a good fit for that destination. I know when our Girl Scouts in Colorado apply for a destination, I first get an email making sure, and I have to verify that Girl Scout is with our organization and is an active participant with a troop or a Juliet Girl Scout, and just verify that this person is okay by our standards to travel on their trip. So it's an online form, but there's also a worksheet that can be printed ahead of time so that you aren't, like, a girl isn't sitting there trying to fill out the application and then thinking about it and going back or having dinner and whatever, things like that, and it interrupts it. So she can work on that. It's really nice to have a worksheet. I always love to have a worksheet or something to prepare before I'm entering a whole bunch of things in a form. College applications would be like that. So to access the application worksheet, you can go to the, any of the destination pages about the like actual trip. And you can download the form that's called Destinations Information and Application Worksheet. So it's a rough draft. You can copy the information into the online form. If you're doing it in Word or something, you can cut and paste and put it over into the application. So it's just a nice way that GSUSA has actually made it easier for girls not to feel like you're filling out that application. What if I make a mistake and hit submit by accident? So preparing your application, what the Girl Scouts will need is contact information, parent and guardian contact information, and the name of our council. So our council name, so easy, Girl Scouts of Colorado. There are a lot of other councils out there across our country that the name does not specifically notify the state that you're notified, like the state you're in, like Girl Scouts of Eastern Pines or Cactus Pines or Orange Grove or something like that. I can't remember them all, but it's a little harder for Girl Scouts to remember exactly what their council name is, but we've got it easy, Girl Scouts of Colorado. So also preparing for the application, Girl Scouts are going to need 2 references, their full names and email addresses, and they do have an option to list 3 if they would like. So they should probably contact these references ahead of time, because the destination host will, it's up to them whether they'd like to contact those references or not. So you need the names and addresses of the people who agree to be references. They're trusted adults who know you well and can write about skills and why the Girl Scout will be a valuable person for that destination. And they should not ask? They should not ask a family member or a friend their age. So reference ideas are a Girl Scout leader, a teacher, a religious leader, a sports coach if they're part of a soccer team, volleyball team. If they have a job, I know a lot of our older Girl Scouts have jobs, they can ask their supervisors. So if they don't have any of those, next step would be a neighbor, just not someone who lives in your household or is a grandparent, aunt, or uncle. So that's that. If you complete your part on the online application, a link, since once you complete the application, you'll continue, and that link will continue for you to answer the information about the references. So make sure you do that. So after the Girl Scout completes her application process, she should let her references know that the link will be emailed to them so that they can say, oh yes, do know that person, or call them, or just to be prepared if something's coming along. So, check probably, I would say within a week of submitting the application, that then it would come to me to say, yes, this is a Girl Scout in our organization. And then the process continues on. So, and the application asks you to list your skills and activities. So be sure to make a complete inventory of everything you do and everything you know how to do, from school to a place of worship to Girl Scouts, chores at home, anything else. There might be travel experiences, time spent away from family at summer camp would be great, and sort of how that experience was meaningful and how it's prepared you for the next adventure, which could be an independent trip. So next up we have more preparation. So the girls will need to write a unique essay for each destination she wants to apply for. So easily as that says, like if you want to go to New York, it's a different essay than if you wanted to go to Iceland. Talk about why they're interested in that specific trip, why they're excited to learn about culture. Is there a reason why that trip? And just let the destination host know exactly why you want to be there. And also for the Girl Scouts to write about what they bring. in their independence, their knowledge, their desire to be a part of a group that travels. You know, there is a to hold a hand for anybody who's not used to traveling. You know, there's all kinds of reasons why you would like a different kind of personality and need on a trip, or maybe in chaos, you're the one who stays calm. So, but completely prepare your essay for, you know, copy and pasting onto that form. So always good to be prepared in that. So once you've completed the worksheet, you go back to the destination website and click on the apply link. So if the Girl Scout is 13 years or older, she can complete the application on her own, but make sure that she has a guardian nearby. And there's always going to be a section at the end where a parent or guardian has to verify their support for the application, which makes sense. In other words, the Girl Scout's not applying for a trip without her parents knowing, or her caregiver. So if a Girl Scout is under 13, her parent needs to complete the application on her behalf, but they can work on it together. So for each trip, separate application, separate essay, things like that. So, and you have, a Girl Scout has to complete this application in one sitting. Unfortunately, there's not a way to save everything and continue on. So there's no starting the application, having dinner and coming back. So, um, any questions so far? Sorry, I've been going on and haven't even asked. I know this is a lot to think about, so.
No, we're good. This is very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. So the timeline. So it's great to look at the application timeline. So right now, destinations are in like the early decision application period. Sounds like college to me. I have a daughter who's going off to college next year, so we're in that zone. If you're really interested in a specific trip, be sure to apply in the early decision, which, because all the applications are received by the early decision deadline, are going to be reviewed at the same time. And if you don't get it completed, including your references by the deadline, then applications go in on a rolling basis. So it's, you know, you will learn, or somebody will learn, oh, there's like 3 spots left, and that will be full once the one comes in, the next comes in, the next comes in after that early decision time. So some destinations you'll see and you'll know, wow, this one's going to be really high demand and fill up quick. So if you, especially if your daughter or Girl Scout has like a very specific interest in STEM or something, and you don't see any other STEM trips on there, you'll want to make sure that you set enough of a timeline and the runway to get ready for that application, so that it gets into that that early decision part. Time frame. So the deadline is November 15th for early decision. So it should, you know, you should probably aim to finish your application, as it says on the slide, by November 1st. So it gives time for the people who have the references, for me to say, yes, she's a Girl Scout in Colorado, just things on the backside to happen, so that by the 15th it is submitted to GSUSA and has gone through the people who have to okay it before it gets there. So let's see here. The host will email you by December 15th to alert the family and the Girl Scout if they've been accepted or not. They may possibly be put on a wait list. I'm not sure how, if there's, you know, 15 spots and 20 Girl Scouts apply before for that early time slot, how people decide who goes and who doesn't go and who puts on a wait list. I don't know. But once you select a destination, you need to pay a non-refundable deposit by the date that's set by the host. So that also will be in the details. The deposit goes towards your program fee for the destination. So it's non-refundable, and it really is like a confirmation that you're serious about attending the destination. So each of the destinations will have the amount of the non-refundable deposit. That sort of is indicated by, or made by the different destination host and how much they want to collect for that deposit. So a few application reminders. So write a unique essay for each specific destination. Talk about why that destination is for her. Complete the application, so with plenty of time for references, for myself, everybody to go through that approval process. Make sure that email addresses are entered correctly for yourself, your parents, and your references, because things can really get delayed if, because I have that problem. I have a daughter, Sam, and her email address is Sammy, and I forget whether it's Sam or Sammy, and I've put in the wrong thing sometimes. So you can get mixed up with things like that. So, but this is the only way that the destination host can connect with you. So make sure you double check email addresses. So I hope the presentation was informative. And, if you have any questions, I am available, and I will put, let me just see, there's one more slide there. Yeah. So that girl experience email address is, one that goes to a few different people. So it's not my direct one. But I do monitor the girl experience email address, email folder. So I will see questions in there about destinations, and even if you title the subject line as destinations. And then there are two other things I wanted to make sure you knew about, that I don't have specific slides for. That is scholarships. So there are 3 scholarships that Girl Scouts can help with destination trips. First one is that Girl Scouts of Colorado applied to GSUSA for what they call as destination grants. And we were rewarded the full amount that we asked for. So that money has been given to GSCO to help Girl Scouts specifically go on destination trips. The money is not meant for troops going on trips, or things like that. It's specifically for this catalog of destinations trips. So we are able as a council to help out with that cost. There are 2 other scholarship type that for travel that have been organized. One is called Look Wider Scholarship, and the other one is, oh my gosh, the name is failing me right now, but it is for military families. So I will put them both in the link, and those are both ways that can decrease the expense of the trip for the Girl Scout to earn money and the family and things like that. We know definitively from GSUSA that the travel experience that girls have, just is through Girl Scouts is such a positive experience from them. We've heard it through surveys that we've had. I've heard it just from talking to girls who've traveled. They've come home and said how much they learned about themselves and how much they learned about being a global citizen and seeing and connecting with other Girl Scouts. Say they go to Greece, they could connect with Girl Scouts that are Girl Guides that are in Aspen and exchange with them and just have a really meaningful experience that they'll carry with them for the rest of their lives. I speak with adults that talk about their Girl Scout travel experiences quite often. So I'll go ahead, and before we go, I will put the scholarship links into the chat. So, but I'm going to, because we're recording this, I will say thank you so much for attending. And I will be saving this recording for anybody that couldn't attend tonight so that they can still get this information. So thanks so much for coming, and hope to see one of your Girl Scouts going on a destination.
Awesome. A few quick questions though. With the timeline dates, that the deadlines that you had in there, is that for the winter trips and spring break